Hello and welcome to the first episode of Into the Abyss with Cranky Old Gamer. Yes, you heard right, folks. This is my first video log. And a quick bit of context about this, kind of the purpose, what are we doing, what are we trying to cover, why do these, what's important, what's not important, what color is the sky in your world. All of these questions will be answered and more, I promise. No, but seriously, folks, I kind of got to thinking about doing an occasional video blog around the Abyssal Realms game for DeepWars and Shadowsea, and I don't know exactly how many of these episodes we're going to do. I don't know exactly what the cadence of these are, but I'm going to do these on occasion when the spirit moves me, and if it becomes a regular thing, that's great. One of the things that I've been thinking about doing is having a regular video chat where I talk about faction focus and maybe even a little bit of how to play the game of DeepWars. So this first one is probably going to be a little bit of a recap of Adepticon 2019. I think that's the most recent event that I've done, and a little bit about how the video battle reports came into being and some kind of insider information on that. And then maybe in the next episode, we'll talk a little bit about some faction focus with all the differing factions that exist in the Abyssal Realms, the Fortune Hunters, the Ancients of Adelon, Scaly Horde, Dark Mariners, and even into Shadowsea. Well, we'll talk Fortune Hunters, Draconids, Sunless Kingdom, Order of Yosoth, and whatnot. But, first things first, probably start with the factions in DeepWars after this one. And, who knows where this will take us. Maybe we'll talk more about the realms in future episodes. So fans of the channel will know that I've done a lot of DeepWars battle reports going on a little over 2 years now. Geez, time really flies. And at the time of this recording, I've done 14 Abyssal Realms battle reports on YouTube. And we've gotten really good with the rules. We've really had a lot of fun with it, and we play it as more of a kind of a skirmish level tactical war game. There's lots of role-playing game elements in there. There's kind of a a campaign system where you can, do games and level up your characters essentially and build upon war bands and whatnot. And you can do all sorts of different scenarios and create your own monsters or create your own characters and all sorts of, there's lots of little widgets that you can explore within the DeepWars universe. And we've really kind of focused on the skirmish level wargaming aspect of it. And we've had a lot of fun with it. That's not to say that other people don't. And, you go to the Abyssal Realms Facebook page and you see a lot of activity on there about people making their own terrain or making their own games and having either one-off games or having campaign games or even creating their own characters using miniatures from all sorts of lines. But really the focus of my channel has been really kind of the tactical wargaming, skirmish level wargaming aspect of it. And we've had a lot of fun and hope you've enjoyed it as well. I think, I don't know that we're ruling out any kind of tactical wargaming, campaign sort of style gameplay in the future, but I think really that's really where we focused on. And so over the course of those 2 years, we've really had a lot of fun playing DeepWars, and we've done a few Shadowsea battles as well. And it got me to thinking, I've never actually ran an event before, even at a big place like Adepticon. You think of Adepticon, well, wow, that's a big place. There's lots of events going on there. You kind of want to be on your A game if you're going to run an event there, but it was really low key. And a little over a year ago, when I came off of Adepticon in 2018, I started thinking to myself, wow, wouldn't it be kind of neat or kind of cool if we did a DeepWars event? Kind of like a little narrative 3-game tournament, 3-game event. Tournament's not the right word. I like to use the word event because it's a little bit more friendly, a little more casual. We're really not competing for prizes. We're just there to have fun and kind of have a narrative thread throughout some of these games. So I started thinking to myself, and I started talking to one of my buddies that I went to Adepticon with previously. Said, hey, look, maybe we should do this. Are we going to get enough players? Will there be enough interest? All that sort of stuff. And so there was, posted a question up on the on the Abyssal Realms Facebook page. Hey, if I did this event, would there be interest? And I was happy to see that there was. And, when we finally got to the day of Adepticon 2019, we had a pretty good turnout for a game that's there's lots of war games out there, folks, right? And so it's really hard to compete for players, but I was really happy with the number of players. We got 6 players. I was really happy with that number. And a lot of, even a year ago, a lot of thought goes into, okay, well, what kind of event do I want to run? What's it going to look like? How many players could we get, reasonably we get? How am I, logistics, like how am I going to get all my stuff there, right? In terms of terrain and gaming mats and, are we going to have swag? Is there going to be prizes? There's a lot of stuff that goes into it's a funny because you think, well, hey, you just bring your stuff and with your gaming buddies and people show up and they throw down and, we'll play some games. Well, that works pretty decently when you play games against, your friendly neighborhood gaming group when they all kind of know you and you know each other. But we're talking about DeepWars players from across the United States that have probably never even met each other, which is actually kind of funny because I met one of the guys and I did a pickup game at Adepticon 2018, and had a fantastic time just as a pickup game. And that was another thing that sort of inspired me is like, hey, we could actually do this and have some fun with it. So I got to planning around the Adepticon event, and really I wanted to make it a one day. I wanted to make it sure that, people had the chance to go play the other events that they're signing up for. So we did it on a Thursday. It was a 3-game event at the Renaissance Schaumburg Convention Center. It was Thursday. It was in the afternoon, so basically after lunch until about 7 p.m. We got 3 games in. And if you're interested in kind of retrospect, you can go to my my blog, crankyoldgamer.net. And if you search on that blog, there is a URL at DeepWars-Adepticon 2019. You can go see that page. You can also go to the Facebook group and find the link to that. And I'm sure you'll find it. There's some commenting in there and whatnot and kind of getting it prepped up. But put on the event, and I could not be happier. Like I said, at the end of the day, when we got the event started, I hauled all my terrain out to Schaumburg in 2 giant Pelican cases. And, even in those armored cases, a couple of the pieces of the terrain cracked. It was no big deal, but, it's aquarium terrain. I can, or aquarium, decorations, you can replace those fairly easily. I worked with Antimatter Games to get a sign that I could hang up so that people could see the event. So thank you, Antimatter, for that. Again, kind of getting all my terrain and my mats and my dice. And another one of the players in the community really kind of pitched in as we got closer to the event. Is like, okay, well, I don't really know exactly what I'm doing, but someone who had run events before, and he kind of pitched in, hey, think about this, think about that. I put up a page and a download place where you can download the rules of the event and whatnot. He was super helpful, and really appreciate that. Thank you, Stefan. I also decided, well, I don't want this to be something where people are going to be competing. This is really kind of fun. We're going to have three games. We're not really here to beat each other's face in. We're really just here to have a good time and enjoy this game that we love. And so I said, well, instead of having prizes, maybe we just give everybody a swag bag. So everybody who went got a Let-Go accessories, measurement markers, and some custom markers for like Fallen or poisoned or transfixed, things like that. So some custom counters and some custom measuring sticks. Everybody got some of those. And really my thinking on the event was, let's just play 3 games. Let's do a little bit of like in a little escalation league. Not everyone has DeepWars is one of those games where it's really fun. It's visually intense and people love the look of it, but not a lot of people get a chance to play it because there's nobody in their local area that plays the game. And I really hope that some of these videos or some of these vlogs sort of help generate some interest. But I think, when you come to an event like that with a game that you probably have only got maybe a couple games under your belt, you kind of want to start small so that people can kind of get into the flow of it. We had the first game was a 400-point game. The next game was a 650-point game. And the third and final game was an 800-point game. 800-point games are really what we play on the channel. And we do it on a 3-foot by 3-foot mat. And then the rule books, you can look at it, says a 2-foot by 2-foot mat. But we went 3 by 3. And we did a little escalation league. And so people showed up early on, or at least most of them, I think everyone showed up early. I had everything set up. Everyone was great. Really appreciated everyone showing up and having a really a really great time. Some of the folks from the Man Battle Stations podcast came over to play. A friend who came from that I know through Horus Heresy Gaming, he showed up. A buddy of mine I'm from the Seattle area. A buddy of mine traveled with me, and he helped me set up the event and play some of the games too. So really, shout out to everybody who helped set up and tear down, and really was frankly everybody in the event. But yeah, I think really, I guess what I want to get across here is that we had a lot of fun at that event, and I hope next year when I'm planning to do a Deep Wars and a Shadow Sea event that maybe some other folks will join us. Maybe we'll get some more folks showing up. So again, let me do a quick breakdown of the games that we played, and then we'll wrap it up for this vlog. So the first game was a 400-point game. And the mission on that one was skirmish. So really, that one was basically kill points. You had to kill each other. That's the canonical let's murder each other on the battlefield sort of mission. So that one was pretty fun. It was pretty quick because the war bands are so small. And so I think that was kind of the game to get everybody's get their brain functioning again and how the rules worked, or kind of dust off some of the cobwebs, or just kind of get used to each other. And so I think that one went really well. Game 2 was a salvage mission. That was a 650-point list. And all of these games were shallow shelf, clear water visibility, and table setup. All the tables were set up. And you can kind of see as I'm talking here, you can see some of the table setups that we did and whatnot. Like I said, the second game was salvage, so that was treasure markers. So a lot of shenanigans getting the treasure markers off the table. And then the third game was conquer. So that was the 800-point game, and that's really kind of the King of the Hill mission. You find these both in the Deep Wars and the Shadow Sea main rule books, and so that was your 800-point list. We spent the same amount of time playing that game as we did the 650 game, which was interesting. And I actually found I'd love to hear your feedback on this for those of you who attended. Excuse me, the 800-point game did not feel too compressed in the amount of time that we had. And so it felt pretty good to me. But again, if you were there, if you watched, or if you had an opinion on that, playing that amount of points in that amount of time, give me a comment. Tell me what you think. Other than that, let's really quickly go through the factions. So I brought Scaly Horde to play. I brought 3 different lists of Scaly Horde. I brought my traveling companion, Paul. I brought for him Dark Mariners. So I think he was the only Dark Mariners player. There was 2 Fortune Hunters players, and there was 2 Nereid players. So I think that brings us up to 6, or maybe there was 1 Nereids player. Anyways, there was no representation from Eidolons, and I think there was only 1 representative from Scaly Horde and Dark Mariners, yeah. But I think, everyone brought beautifully painted armies. You can see them here in the pictures. I think everyone really enjoyed playing those missions. I played against Fortune Hunters twice. Fortune Hunters is a very powerful faction. I had a lot of fun in both missions, but they are hard as nails, particularly with the Scaly Horde, because we'll talk about that when we do a faction focus on them. But I think a good time was had by all, and I'm really looking forward to doing this again next year. So, if you're interested in coming out to Adepticon next year, if you're in the area and you're playing, it's like, hey, I want to go check those guys out. Come on down and check us out, and we'll show you Deep Wars, or bring some lists, and we'll play some games, and we'll have some fun. And I hope you've enjoyed this first video blog. Or we'll next time we'll probably start diving into some faction focus. And if you have any comments or thoughts on what you'd like to hear from us in the future, just drop me a line. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.